Hey, class of 2020, we know things have been super weird lately. You were robbed of a graduation ceremony, so we found some people to write you commencement speeches. John Legend, he's in. Hillary Clinton, she's in too. Over 20 of your favorites, from DJ Khaled to Coach K, Abby Wambach to Halsey. They're all here to give you the wisdom that we could all use right now. Tune in to iHeartRadio's new podcast, Commencement. Speeches are out now on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Thanks for listening to the Herd Podcast. Be sure to catch us live every weekday from 12 to 3 Eastern, 9 to noon Pacific on Fox Sports Radio and FS1. Find your local station for the Herd at foxsportsradio.com or stream us live every day on the iHeartRadio app by searching Herd.
Now let's get this party started.
You're listening to Fox.
That we thought the summer was canceled.
It's here.
Yeah.
Close.
It's creeping up on us.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be okay.
Yeah, so do I. So let me start with this. Ed Werder's somebody I trust. Ed Werder says there's a deal to be made with Dak Prescott. He believes it's going to get done. He's going to make $35 million a year. Cowboys and Dak, and a lot of people are denying the $45 million. You know, it's PR spin. But he's going to make $35 million a year. That doesn't work for me, but I'll just say this. Dak Prescott, according to Fox Bet, is worth 4 points more per game than Andy Dalton. That seems fair. More than a field goal. Of course, the contract will be 10 times more than Andy Dalton. Make of it what you will. $35 million for Dak. There's 2 reasons it concerns me. One, his entire career, he's had a top 3 offensive line and a top 2 running back in the league and above average weapons. I've never seen him struggle. Oh, wait, I have. Tyron Smith got hurt. He was terrible. Zeke was out. He wasn't very good. Pre-Amari Cooper, not special. The times I've seen him not have everything right in support, he has struggled. And last year, he struggled against good teams. Everybody's good in life when you're a trust fund kid. You're the only child. You get the time. You get the attention. Life's way easier. What if you're one of 5 kids struggling to grab the final piece of pizza? With Dak, his life has been trust fund kid. It's been best offensive line, best running back, offensive coach, above average weapons. PFF says the wide receiving core is number 3. So his NFL life has been that of the trust fund kid. Just don't wreck the Mercedes. It's just been nothing but fun and daisies. He's had 2 horrible teams in his division. Giants and Washington, 16 games against him. He's 13-3. It's been easy street. I have no idea, and I'm now going to pay him $35 million. Travis Frederick's gone. Tyron Smith, what if he gets hurt? The times where I've seen him lose key offensive components, he deteriorates fast. Scares me. Second thing is, $35 million for a quarterback is an elite price tag. He's a good quarterback. He's averaging in his career, this again, with a great O-line, a great running back, great receivers. He's averaging 24 touchdowns, 9 picks, and 3,900 yards. That's good. It ain't $35 million a year good. It's not that good, so that's my concern. I do not care that he was underpaid early in his career. That's not my problem. Be a higher draft pick. The entire league. Do you know how underpaid Lamar Jackson is right now? Patrick Mahomes, Russell Wilson for 4 years. If you play early in the NFL as a quarterback, you're going to get underpaid. You're going to be massively underpaid. Josh Allen's massively underpaid. They're all underpaid. Baker Mayfield may be a little overpaid, not a cheap shot, just true. But all these guys are. Lamar Jackson makes $10 million a year. He was the MVP. MVP should be making $38 million a year. He'll get his money over time. Dak on the cheap. Remember, Dak's been on the cheap for all these years. One playoff win on the cheap. So now you got to make cuts. So Dallas is essentially saying, we're going to go the opposite way of the New England Patriots. Dallas is saying, no, we know what we're doing. The Patriots don't know what they're doing. We're going to pay all our top stars top dollar. So the Cowboys with Dak will have a top 5 quarterback contract, a top 5 running back contract, a top 5 wide receiver contract, and a top 5 defensive end contract, and a very expensive offensive line. And Jalen Smith is great, but he's not cheap. That's the opposite of what the Patriots do. And Zeke, the most replaceable position, is the only one of those players that you would consider top 2 or 3 in the league at his position. So you're essentially paying guys more than you would argue in a salary cap sport their value probably is. So, this is the opposite of what New England did. And I know I hear this all the time. Well, he deserves. Folks, find me a 50-year-old in America that doesn't think they were underpaid in their 20s. 20s, it's a rite of passage. You'll be underpaid. Interns, you probably won't be paid. You start making good money in your 30s, hopefully, great money in your 40s and 50s, and then at 60, you better have saved some of it. Everybody in this league is underpaid in their 20s until their first contract. And I don't think you deserve a Powerball ticket because you were underpaid. It depends on how good you are in those years leading up to the big contract. Dak's been good, not great, and he was bad at the end of last year. And by the way, once again, Dallas dominates the offseason. They did this last year. It should be noted in their own division, Philadelphia had 2 issues. Cornerback, they addressed it with Darius Slay. Some argue the best pure corner in football. Wide receiver, they draft one. Marquise Goodwin, Alshon Jeffrey, Deshaun Jackson's coming back. They addressed their 2 issues. Dallas, defense. Secondary, bad. They lost their best corner. Secondary, bad. Lost a good safety. Lost a leading sacker. So Dallas did not address their primary issues. They drafted a wide receiver in the first round. It's the last thing they needed. I'm sure CeeDee Lamb will be productive, but it's not what they needed. So, again, Philadelphia quietly brought in Darius Slay, arguably the best corner, for a real weakness, and massively upgraded and addressed their wide receivers. Dallas's problem was defense. It is clearly worse today. But hey, we're talking about the Cowboys. They're winning the press conference. They're the most interesting team. They're the most captivating team. I do not think they got better. I think they'll be thin. I think they'll have no depth. And I'm happy for Dak because I'm happy for all young people to get their money. I never root against the individual. But once you have a salary cap, it's a business. In baseball, you can overpay a guy. I mean, if you have good revenue streams on the YES network for the Yankees, you could pay a guy $2 or $3 million more. The salary cap makes it a business, and it's a pretty hard cap in the NFL. It's not like the NBA. You got exceptions and exemptions, and it's pretty much a hard cap. You pay this guy, you can't pay that guy. Good luck to Dallas. So I like choices in life. I like choices. Just give me choices. I don't want to be told I have to do this. I want the option to do this or this, and then it comes to me because I like the responsibility of choices. I saw a study the other day that 73% of Americans would rather flip a coin than make a tough decision themselves. I'm the opposite of that. I want choices, I'll make decisions, and I'll live with my bad decisions. But I want the decision. The NFL is voting next week to give coaches a decision, and I hope it passes. The NFL is saying you can still do the onside kick, but you can also take the ball at your own 25, 4th and 15. If you get a first down, you keep the ball. Now, if you fail, it's over because the other team takes it, couple plays, field goal or touchdown. But this is why the NFL, one of the reasons they're king. Fast, adapt, move, PAT, catch rule, change. This is great. You don't have to use this. The NFL is not saying you have to abandon the onside kick. They're saying we're going to give you a choice. And I've always believed sports are better when you put the best athletes on the field. I'm a believer in the DH over a pitcher hitting. Why? Because you really got your jollies, baseball nerd, off Al Leiter? Madison Bumgarner is considered a great hitting pitcher. His career average is 177. I want an athlete. I want DH. I want a big slugger go up there and hit the ball out of the park against a great pitcher. I don't want pitchers hitting. I'm not a baseball nerd I am so sophisticated, I get the double switch. I get athletes, put them on the field. I don't want my football games decided by a kicker and the hands team. I want my games decided by Patrick Mahomes and Bobby Wagner and Russell Wilson and Larry Fitzgerald and Big Ben and Lamar Jackson and Mark Ingram and Drew Brees and Michael Thomas. That's who I want deciding my games. The hands team kept Green Bay's Aaron Rodgers out of a Super Bowl against Tom Brady. This is why the NFL gets it. Can you imagine in the NBA going to the finals and having the finals decided because you took the seventh guy off the bench to see if he could hit a half-court shot? That is the onside kick. I'm not even sure kickers like the onside kick. It's a total gimmick. Some of the greatest kickers in league history were not good with the onside kick because they were working on, kicking, not a shtick. NFL games should not be decided. Aaron Rodgers should not be kept out of a Super Bowl because of a hands team. A guy can't catch a ball bouncing to him. We could have had an Aaron Tom Brady Super Bowl. So this is, baseball fans always get worked up on the DH and the pick. Give me a designated hitter. Give me an athlete. Give me a 6'2", 245-pound DH that can hit a ball past, 500 feet. I don't want to watch, it's funny. Like Madison Baumgartner, he can really hit as a pitcher. He has a career average of 177. I mean, somebody told me Zach Greinke can hit. I looked it up. He hits 220. I mean, come on, give me a break. Al Leiter hit 085. That's what you want to watch because you just can't get enough of the double switch. Strategy overrated, athletes underrated. The NFL voting, let's pass it. Give teams an opportunity to put their star quarterback, give Lamar Jackson the ball, give Patrick Mahomes, Russell Wilson, give Aaron Rodgers the ball, Tom Brady in Tampa. You trail by 4, 4th and 15. Make it happen. First down, boom, here we go. That's football. That's what I want to watch. I want to watch J.J. Watt lining up, chasing around Patrick Mahomes, 4th and 50, rolling right, almost has him, throw it to Tyreek Hill for 22. I'm not into the hands team. So this is great. Love it. They're going to put that on the table next week, and we got a new rule in the NFL. It's fantastic. Now, how fun is that going to be? Now, we may only see it 15, 25 times a year. But in the end, it's going to put pressure on coaches because the onside kick, 10% of the time you get it.
Yeah, that was the problem. The change in it made it impossible.
You know what 4th and 15 is? It's closer to 25, 30%. I think it's 28%. So it makes no sense not to go for it.
Once you got to the onside kick, it was like, well, that's it.
The game's over.
Yeah.
It's like the PAT a couple years ago. Everybody freaked out. It's like, no, you have to watch the PAT.
No, it was brilliant.
Kickers now are, by the way, if you miss your first PAT, kickers go into the tank. The next 3 hours, kickers are struggling with even chip shots. So give me options as a coach. Let me choose. I'm not fear-based. I'll make a decision, and then I'll live with the repercussions. But don't tell me I have to do this when it's a shtick. I want to keep Aaron Rodgers out of a Super Bowl because I only have one option: a shtick kick and a hands team. What? I love this. If coaches don't vote this in, they're afraid of it. Because all this really does puts the pressure on coaches to make the obvious call. Give Patrick Mahomes the ball.
Yeah, how would coaches not want this? The onside kick is almost impossible to convert.
Did you remember years ago when they added the 2-point conversion? Goulet, you may remember this too. Coaches didn't like it. Why? Of course you want the 2-point conversion.
Right.
Coaches didn't like it. And coaches didn't like it because it put coaches on the hot seat. They were going to have to, it gave coaches options, and it was like,
But that's a little different. I feel like in this situation, it's a better option to be able to do the 4th and 15 because the conversion rate for the onside kick is almost impossible. At least you feel like you have a chance in this situation.
Oh, 4th and 15? I'm playing prevent? Absolutely. It's a wide receiver quarterback.
Right, and then if you don't convert it, it wasn't meant to be.
That's right. You trail anyway.
Right.
No complain. You trail late. Your problem, not mine. All right, good stuff. Coming up next, it's amazing. Michael Jordan got into the head of a lot of NBA players. They're all grumbling about the MJ doc, but Scottie Pippen cannot complain about it. He's furious, and I'll address that coming up.
Be sure to catch live editions of The Herd weekdays at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific on Fox Sports Radio, FS1, and the iHeartRadio app.
RecTech grills are amazing. Want to spend more time with your family this summer? I do. It's around the grill. Summer's here. RecTech Grill. Wi-Fi grill. Get it started driving home. RECTEC grills with an S.com, RecTech Grills. So Michael Jordan got into a lot of people's heads. Isaiah's mad at him. The relatives of Jerry Krause are mad at him. Gary Payton's mad at him. Karl Malone's mad at him. Everybody's mad at him. He beat him. I get it. But Scottie Pippen, I don't get. Scottie Pippen is beyond livid at Jordan for his portrayal in The Last Dance. Whoa. Time out. The documentary, Scottie Pippen unraveled in Houston. He unraveled the 2 years in Chicago they asked him to lead the team. Okay, the documentary never mentioned the gun charge he had in 94. They never mentioned that in Chicago. Okay, Michael Jordan, who doesn't give out compliments, is quoted saying in the documentary, quote, "He helped me so much in the way I approached the game and the way I played the game. Whenever they speak Michael Jordan, they should speak Scottie Pippen," Jordan declared. "I didn't win without Pippen, and that's why I consider him my best teammate of all time." I've never heard Michael give anybody a compliment like that. And 3, the 2 low points of the doc for Pippen, he created. He admitted he wouldn't go into a game, doubled down on it. When asked, "Do you regret it?" He goes, "No, I'd do it again." What? With perspective, you would refuse to go into a game? Because you didn't have a play designed for you. And secondly, he acknowledged his words he delayed surgery because he wanted to have fun in the summer and throw his team under the bus. Those are Pippen's words. Michael Jordan said the nicest thing I've ever heard Michael say about another player. I mean, literally said, "He helped me so much in the way I played and approached the game. I didn't win without Pippen." It's Jordan never said that about anybody. So what Scottie Pippen has buried Pippen in this. Scottie is what most professional athletes are. Super talented, but a 2, not a 1. To be the man, to be the leader, to be the guy, to be the president. Scottie's a vice president, and he was a great one, arguably the greatest ever. But the minute the Bulls needed him to lead and him to deal with the media and it didn't work. It worked for about 6 months. The second year, he unraveled. He went to Houston. They asked him to be the man. He unraveled. They asked him in Portland to be the man. He wasn't. Rasheed Wallace was the best player. And I like Pippen. I've interviewed him. I like him. I think he's the best vice president ever. But to be the man, you have to do the media crap. First at practice, last to leave. You gotta deal with the GM. You got to deal with the coach. You have to lead the game plan. You have to communicate with other players. And you got to make great decisions. Scottie's got a history of making some really poor decisions, and he's playing the victim here. I mean, I like him, but there's no way Scottie can be mad at Jordan for this. Jordan gave him the nicest compliment I've ever seen him give a player. He basically said, I don't win anything without Pippen. Has Michael ever acknowledged that ever about anything? I don't think he talks that well about Phil Jackson. So I just talked about this earlier. 75% of people would rather flip a coin than make a decision. A study came out on that. When you're the man, and he was for 2 years in Chicago, he had to make really big decisions. And he made lousy ones. He made really bad ones. And then he refused to get a surgery. Who's that on? I think it's totally unfair to blame Michael for this. I don't think Scottie can play the victim. And for the record, I don't think he comes out looking terrible in it. I don't think he's a villain in it. I think he looks like a guy who was really good. Michael loved him, played hurt, was an integral part, much more important than Rodman. I think Rodman's stature's always been overplayed. I think Pippen comes across as the second most important Bull that Michael loved. Well, that's exactly the truth. Who made some really bad decisions when they gave him the baton to run the team. He's a 2, not a 1. That's okay. Leadership's hard. There are very few, Russell Wilsons out there. There are very few guys that can just put it on my back. I'm 25. I'm going to run the thing. Not a lot of guys can do that. And I think Michael was uniquely equipped to handle that because his parents were so great. Then he got Dean Smith. Then he got David Falk. Then he got Phil Jackson. He had some of the great leaders in individual. He had the best college basketball coach, the best agent, the best pro coach, and unbelievable parents. He had so many great examples of how to lead. I think it made Michael a very good leader. Tough, but a very good leader. Perhaps Scottie didn't have as many great leadership examples, but you can't blame MJ for Scottie's decisions. Joy with the news.
No.
Turn on the news.
This is the Herd Line News.
Oh, the ego.
A guy is an ego. We're crazy, right?
I didn't say anything. So Patrick Mahomes is set to get a record-breaking deal when he signs his next contract. Chiefs owner Clark Hunt said that they will begin contract negotiations with Mahomes on an extension this summer, and both sides have made it clear that they want Mahomes to be a Chief for life.
Oh, yeah, I hope so. Yeah, I think that's good.
So just when we finish Dak Prescott negotiations.
Yeah, but the difference is this will be wrapped up really quick, and it won't last.
Well, you would imagine so. But I mean, I don't think that the Chiefs are going to be tough in negotiating with Mahomes. But he is entering his fourth year of his rookie deal. Set to count for $5.3 million against the salary cap, with $825,000 as his base salary.
Now, it should be noted, though, Kansas City deserves credit. This is where they were smart. So they had a rookie deal, and they went out and spent on weapons. They made trades. So Kansas City did it the right way, and they were rewarded. So Kansas City, Kansas City deserves credit. They moved up to get him.
Right.
They developed him very quickly with Andy Reid, kept Alex Smith on, gave him weapons while he was cheap, and won a Super Bowl with him. So now I have no problem Mahomes going to the bank and getting what he's got to get. I had no problem with Russell Wilson's deal. I got no problem with Mahomes' deal at all.
Well, when you take advantage, these rookie deals are they're kind of incredible. I mean,
Yes.
The fact that he's making $825,000 as his base salary.
Lamar Jackson, $10 million. Have you noticed how many players the Ravens can bring in now to support Lamar Jackson?
I mean, it's incredible.
$10 million total is Lamar
He's
Jackson's
a Super
contract.
Bowl MVP.
Yes.
Super Bowl winner.
Yeah.
League MVP.
Yeah. So this is where I'm for the player getting. Patrick Mahomes did all you could ask of him. A hero in the fourth.
I mean, who could have ever have asked that
So
of him?
I'm not anti-player when I think Dak's overpaid. No. Mahomes and Russell Wilson, pay the man. That's when you pay the man.
Well, I mean, it's kind of unfair to compare Dak Prescott to Patrick Mahomes. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes was picked much higher than Dak Prescott. He's better. He didn't have these expectations, obviously, but yeah, he is. The rumors are that he could be the first $200 million contract, which I don't think anyone would have a problem with. Again, I mean, I always want everyone to get paid because, look, I'm not paying anybody.
Right.
It doesn't matter to me. But you're right. They maximize his contract. And if they do end up having significant less flexibility because they have to pay Patrick Mahomes, I think that's something that you can live with in that situation. Yeah. So boxing hopes to be the next sport to start back up. Promoter Bob Arum says that he plans to have a 5-fight card at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas on June 9th. A second fight card would be held 2 nights later, kicking off twice weekly shows at the hotel in June and July. No fans or media will be allowed at either event. And everyone involved will be tested at least twice during fight week. So the fights they're still pending approval by the Nevada Athletic Commission. But he said that fighters and cornermen will be tested when they arrive in Las Vegas the week of the fight and will be housed on a bubble floor at the MGM Grand.
Yeah.
They'll be allowed to eat at an approved restaurant in the hotel or to train at the top-ranked gym.
I think this is actually like UFC and boxing were built for this. I think this works. Yeah. You can really... I think these are the sports: golf, tennis, boxing, UFC, NASCAR. This is...
Well, weirdly, boxing and UFC, I mean, you're getting quite intimate with the person that you're fighting.
But if you're
both tested, then I mean, I thought it was great that UFC came back with proper safety protocols. This seems even a little step up from the protocols that UFC had, which I felt were fine. I mean, people are going to be critical of anything that you do right now, but like they're starting to open things up, and this is how things move forward. So, and again, I like the idea of the bubble floor. Like you just don't leave while you're there fighting. Like it's the best way to make sure that if you're tested, that you're good. So the LeBron mostly gets compared to Michael Jordan, especially when it comes to the debate of greatest of all time. But Charles Barkley told Bleacher Report he thinks Kobe is a better comparison to MJ than LeBron.
And I ain't never gonna say anything bad about LeBron James. The closest to Michael I've ever seen was Kobe. And what I mean by that is a guy who has a singular vision, like, I just want to win. I'm not worried about what my teammates think. I'm not worried about what the coach thinks. I just want to win. In my opinion, Michael is the GOAT. And LeBron, to me, I've always said he's closer to Magic Johnson than he is to Michael.
He is. That I totally agree with. I always thought LeBron's game was like 40% Magic and 50% LeBron and 10% Alien. Like, I've never seen it before.
Look, we are not going to stray off of our very stern Michael LeBron comparison. Like, it's just more fun to have that debate. But if we were being more flexible, we could explore the idea of actually having better comparisons in basketball. In football, we do it all the time. Yeah. We don't compare Lawrence Taylor to Tom Brady. There's no comparison. This is different. I mean, we can talk about the level of greatness, obviously, but they're both greats, and there's no argument about it. Like, Tom Brady, the greatest quarterback of all time, and then we have debates about other quarterbacks. So why wouldn't we have that in the NBA? But it's such a star-driven sport. Right. It's such a weird dynamic of individuals to team sport. But yes, LeBron is a better comparison to Magic, and Kobe is a better comparison to Michael. And if we actually did it that way, we would always be talking about Michael and Kobe.
Yeah, I agree. Joy with the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herd Lie News.
Spencer Dinwiddie is a great young player who averaged 20 points a game, actually almost 21. He's one of the great clutch shooters in the NBA. In fact, he made 6 go-ahead field goals in the last 30 seconds of fourth quarter and overtime this year. That's clutch, and it's the most in the NBA. How's that for NBA knowledge? Did you know that one? He's good, he's clutch, he's young with a great future, and Spencer Dinwiddie is now joining us via the Coward Global Satellite Network. I don't think I've ever talked to Spencer before. This is cool. All right, Spencer, let me start with this. You've been, I think I read something yesterday, you're pretty positive about the NBA situation here. This morning, when you text or talk or whatever you do with players, do you guys feel pretty good about an NBA season?
Yes. As of right now, we definitely think the NBA is coming back. That's what the tea leaves are saying. Once again, the NBA has to come up with a solidified plan, and then I know there has to be a group vote. But as of right now, it seems to be the direction we're heading in.
All right. I want to ask you about the Jordan documentary. I covered Scottie Pippen, and I like him, and I've interviewed him, but I think it's unfair to bury Michael for Scottie's reputation. I thought Scottie came off looking tough, looking great, looking amazing, looking vital, and he made some bad decisions. That's life. What did you make of the portrayal of Pippen in the doc?
I mean, quite honestly, that he was the second most important player in on the Bulls, and that he led them to a pretty special season. Obviously, without Mike, just didn't quite close. I mean, I kind of saw your earlier segment and with the whole vice president bit, and I think, he's arguably the best, if not the best, Robin in NBA history.
It's funny. I hear this all the time. Yeah, NBA players couldn't play with Jordan, and I laugh at this. I think, timeout. Was Kobe easy to play with? What? No. I mean, the idea. I mean, listen, Kyrie Irving and LeBron didn't always get along. It's a reality of the league. I think players could play with MJ. I mean, have you ever had a teammate that drove you nuts? I mean, what do you think about MJ playing with him?
I mean, I've never been fortunate enough to play with MJ. I've definitely had teammates that drive me nuts from a competitive standpoint. But you got to realize it's 450 of the best players in the world. Like, you are literally the best out of the 8 billion people on the planet, and you're hyper competitive. And how you get there is usually by being the best player on your team in high school and college and all those things. And then you get to the NBA, and you're trying to figure out a role and trying to figure out a spot to kind of be in to help your team win this ultimate goal. And so, it's an adjustment period, and a lot of times people clash a little bit, but it's for the greater good. It's not just clashing as human beings.
Spencer, it's interesting. You went to high school in California. You played at Colorado, and you're a second-round pick. And because of that, second-round picks, it's harder for you to build a brand because you're not a number 1 pick or a 2. And so Kyrie Irving's a star and KD's a star. Yet I look at your numbers, and you average 21 a game. You're one of the top late-game shooters in the league. Do you ever feel like, hey, just because I was ignored and played basketball at Colorado, do you ever feel like sometimes you get overlooked because you're draft spot?
Yeah, I mean, that's part of the chip, obviously. It happens to a lot of second-round picks, and, people's roads in the NBA aren't always smooth or seamless. Mine, obviously, has been filled with a lot of bumps. But I think, kind of what I do on the court speaks for itself. A lot of people say, I'm not very good or whatever. And if I wasn't good, then I figured the other 450 best players in the world would stop me. So, I've been fortunate enough to have a solid season along with, my teammates with the Brooklyn Nets. We sustained injuries and, are still well in the playoff race. And so it's a credit to all of us, not just obviously myself, but, I put in the work and, hopefully the production continues.
Okay, it's Kyrie's a scorer. You're a scorer. You can make an argument. I mean, Jerry West, Gail Goodrich, Steph and Clay, you can have two really proficient scorers in the backcourt, but it's not easy. And they better get along. Steph and Clay get along. West and Goodrich get along. Are you at all concerned that you guys are big-time offensive players and you both, Spencer, need the ball?
Not really. I mean, obviously, if you look back at my high school stats, I really wasn't a big scorer. I actually passed the ball all the time. And then, in college, I was very much a game manager as well. So, it's kind of been a little bit different for me to be this like high scoring guy the past couple seasons, even, going back prior to these 2 seasons into the third season, I was a high assist man in that season as well. So, looking ahead with KD and Kyrie being the high scoring guys, I'd much rather actually be kind of, the guy that spreads the ball around and averages, maybe 15 and 9 or 15 and 10 or something like that while they go get the 30. I feel like the 21 points a game this year was a lot by necessity because we needed that for us to win. And, I think being able to be in the playoffs, obviously that proved to be correct.
Jeez, this guy's mature. God, you're way more mature than I would have been at 20. How old are you, 27 now?
Yeah, 27.
Yeah,
as of April.
You're really mature. It's kind of embarrassing for me at 50. I'm not sure I would be that easygoing. All right, finally, COVID worries people. There are numbers out that say under 50 you're pretty safe. Great athletes are perhaps the safest Americans. Is there any discomfort for you, coming back potentially and playing and getting it?
I mean, for sure. I mean, I think the concerns actually go beyond COVID. It's more so just the lack of information. Anytime you don't know, you definitely are a little bit worried. You don't want, obviously, you to get sick and potentially harm your family. A lot of guys in the league have kids, and obviously parents are of an age maybe that can, be affected. And then also, with a condensed season, there's injury risk there too. So I think there's a lot that weighs on the athlete's mind, not just specifically us catching COVID. And we're not nearly that callous to think that it's only about us when, this is a global pandemic. So, there's a lot of different thoughts, but we do love the game. We want to play.
How often do you talk to KD?
I mean, we're in a group chat with our team, and so texts fly around pretty much on a daily basis. A lot of stuff talking, but that's how teammates go.
You're a good dude, Spencer Dinwiddie, Brooklyn Nets. Great meeting you, great talking to you. Continued success, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Brought to us by Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing. Very mature, incredibly mature. Listen, I had to score 20 out of necessity. I'm much better at 15 to 18. What?
Well, those are the type of guys you need to win championships.
I know, but it takes if you're 25 years old, you make more money, you get more points. That's the reality of you don't. I'm just telling you. That is when I hear stuff like that, it's like he gets it. Like that's how you lubricate a locker room with stars. The third guy's like, yeah, I can pull back. I can. Not everybody wants to do that.
No, but if you want to win championships,
well, there you go. So that's a thing. That's not like a little thing.
No. It's a huge thing.
That is not a little thing that the third guy is like, no, I can pull back. It's like, okay.
Or step up when the team needs you to.
Very nice. Okay, we got a bunch of stuff coming up next. Proof that men intellectually are inferior to women. It's official. I mean, most people considered it. We're not going to debate it anymore. A study's out, and it's over. We can't debate it anymore. That's coming up.
Be sure to catch live editions of The Herd weekdays at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific.
Get your free credit scorecard today, even if you're not a Discover customer. Learn more at discover.com/credit scorecard. Limitations apply. So, proving once again men aren't very smart. This is a study in Britain. Now, a similar study was done years ago. Anybody that's listened to me over time, America, knows I talked about this about 5 times over the last 15 years. There was a study years ago in America that a quarter of men believed they could be pro athletes if not for a nagging injury or a coach had it out for them. And just certain things didn't work out. Men, of course, are dumb. They did a study in Britain, and 1 in 5 British men and all their bad teeth, they think they, too, could play in the English Premier League, if not for a nagging injury or a coach had it out for them or just a series of bad breaks. Oh, boy. No, you couldn't. So years ago, And I looked for the footage and I couldn't find it, but I was sitting home and there was a really fascinating hour TV program. I don't even remember the network. They took 3 retired NFL players. Kellen Winslow, Ken O'Brien was the quarterback, and James Lofton. They flew him to San Diego, I believe it was, to play the best flag football team in America. This team had won the national championship of flag football, 3-on-3 flag football. This team had played for years together. The guys were Division I athletes. They were really athletic. These guys were real athletes. They won. They went to all the states. They won. So they flew these teams in. This great team that had been practicing for years, really good athletes, to play old, out-of-shape, retired guys. They had a dinner the night before, and classic, the guys yapped and talked trash. The pro athletes rolled their eyes. The pro athletes won the game. No practices. None. Retired, old, beat up, multiple surgeries. The pro athletes won. Of course they did. I'm going to show you a piece of video. I'm going to show you a quarterback in the NFL you don't think's a franchise guy, and I'm not sure. I'm not sure. His name is Gardner Minshew. Now, just watch this, and I'm going to let you watch it for about 2 minutes. Sorry to the radio audience. Look at the build. Look at the trunk. Look at the arms. Look at the snap. Look at the movement. This is a guy that we consider a backup in the NFL. Watch the snaps. Watch the way he plays. 6th-round pick. This is a guy that you don't think can play. And at the beginning of the video, I hope right here. Now look at it. There's a piece of video when he rolls out. This is a big dude. This is a 225-pound man. This is a big dude. Now, I don't love the hat on backwards. I will give him a pass because it is just throwing the football around. So I'm going to forget that. Let's not talk about that. Look at this. This is a guy you think can't play. He went to college. He walked into a program, didn't get a redshirt year, got a month in the playbook, and threw for 38 touchdowns and 9 picks and 71% completion percentage. And we don't think this guy's a franchise guy. It's interesting. He played in the same offensive system as Baker Mayfield, but Baker played with Oklahoma Sooner talent. He played with Washington State talent, and he had equal numbers. This is a pro athlete. Joy Taylor's brother is a pro athlete. He's 6'6", 245 pounds.
Yeah.
A professional athlete. Go to a bar and look around. It's receding hairlines, 40-inch waists, and guys who may have made an all-conference team in high school. And the study in Britain and America is the same. If not for the coach and a bad ankle, I could have been a pro athlete.
I think it's a credit to professional athletes that people think that men think that. They make it look easy.
This is a guy that we think's a backup. The build, the legs, the snap, the movement, the throws, the quick, the hand.
This is kind of like why the LeBron conversation is so interesting, right? Because LeBron is a superior 1%er of professional athletes.
Less than 1% of 1%.
Right. And I still think it would be extremely difficult for him to transition into the sport of football.
Michael Jordan tried AA baseball. He was overwhelmed for much of it. Michael Jordan. All these guys try a second sport. Bo Jackson is rare. And Bo Jackson physically kind of fell apart from it. Deion Sanders was not a great baseball player. He's a great football player. Even as a football player, he didn't like tackling, which is kind of important as a defensive player. But it just goes to the quality of professional athletes. So I never forget that. I don't want to say names here because I don't want to pick on anybody. So my high school hired, my tiny high school, we hired a basketball coach years after I left who played Pac-12 basketball. We all got together to play one day, all the former high school players. One of us had played college basketball. We were all athletic enough. And the big cocky guy in our team guarded the 40-year-old coach, tomahawk dunk over him. A 45-year-old coach who played at Washington State, tomahawk dunked over him. And I'm like,
why'd you do that?
Just literally went up and tomahawk dunked in a small gym. And the guy who was the real athlete at our school, 6'4", just was like, and I'm like, that's what a Pac-12 athlete who doesn't get drafted looks like.
There's a separation, right, between the levels, from college to pro, from high school to college.
Do you know why I stopped taking calls?
Dramatic. I know exactly why you stopped taking calls.
15 seconds without messing up. And the average guy on Twitter is like, I could do your job. I'm going to say no.
If you think the average guy on Twitter thinks that they can do your job, what do you think the average guy on Twitter tells me?
God. I mean, just people are saying it's hard to be great at anything.
It is.
To be a professional athlete. That's Gardner Minshew.
That's God giving you a little extra love, too.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, I watched that last night, and I'm like, hell, it looks like a pro quarterback to me. What do I know? Peter Guber. Big shot next.
Want more Herd? The Herd streams 24 hours a day, 7 days a week within the iHeartRadio app. Search Herd to listen live or on demand.
But they say vitamin D matters and sun matters, and I can't drink milk, so I got to go with that vitamin.
We're both falling apart. You can't drink milk anymore. I can't run anymore. I was running a lot, and then my Achilles started flaring up, so now I'm on the bike.
All right. Well, that's nothing wrong with that. That's cardio. I know it's not the same.
It's not the same.
It's not. But yeah. Oh, by the way, there's a story out there. The Jets don't want to pay Jamal Adams, and Jamal Adams wants to get paid now. He's got 2 years left in his contract. I love Jamal Adams. I think he's great. I think he's a top 10 player in the NFL. I absolutely love him. I think he's unbelievable talent. My question is he the barbecue chef at a vegan restaurant? He's talented, but what's the value? He's a safety. And the Jets have many other issues, namely protect Sam Darnold. Get a star receiver. I wonder the value. I can love a player, but he's expensive for his position, and I have other needs. Everybody banged on Khalil Mack getting traded by the Raiders. They ended up getting the offensive rookie of the year. They hit their draft picks out of the park, and Khalil Mack disappeared last year. The Raiders had Khalil Mack. They still couldn't stop anybody. So it's like I can love a player, and according to the stories, the Jets would get a first and a third. That's what they want. And save a lot of money. And they've got Marcus May, who's not Jamal Adams, but he's good. But if I was building a football team and you told me I could have 6 great players, and I got lucky. I draft for 2 years, and 6 guys pop. Quarterback 1, I'd say left tackle 2, receiver, corner, edge rusher, nose tackle. I'm not sure where safety's at. I think running back I wouldn't need because I think they're replaceable. I may go center. So Jamal Adams is great, but the Jets have an offensive line they're still rebuilding. They don't have a really proven edge rusher. I still think they could use another corner. If I was the Jets and I could get a first-round pick and a starting corner, I would think about doing it. And again, I can love a player, but I look at his position and what he's costing me and what I need. Now, if you're the Chargers, you don't have all those needs. If Justin Herbert hits for the Chargers at quarterback, they can. I mean, if he hits on that skimpy contract, they don't have a ton of other needs. They may just decide Derwin James is so valuable. We don't have a bunch of needs. The Jets got a lot of things to fix. A lot. Corner, pass rusher, receiver. I still think their offensive line at tackle, they got a left tackle they drafted. I don't know if they're good at right tackle. Interior O-line, roll the dice. Le'Veon Bell, long-term, are they going to pay that? So if I was the Jets, I would consider moving him, and I love him. Now I will say this. He had 2 interceptions last year. Minkah Fitzpatrick had 5. Jamal's a physical player. He's great on the blitz. He's great in the box. He just blows stuff up. Does he get the ball and take it away like a Minkah Fitzpatrick? A lot of times, no, but he's a blow-up guy. He's a great player. But, again, I think George Kittle's a great player, the tight end for the San Francisco 49ers. And right now, because of Garoppolo's youth and he hasn't played that many games, I think he's invaluable. But if you have to pay Garoppolo at some time, and I got to pay the Bosa on the line, you do get to a position. Now, tight end means more now than I think it's ever meant in my life. But that's the last 7-8 years tight ends mattered. Like Travis Kelce now is huge, and especially for a young quarterback. But if you had a veteran quarterback and a good O-line and a bunch of good receivers, would you need the tight end as much? Even if he was great? Maybe not. So, Matt Ryan, Atlanta let Austin Hooper go. He's a great player, but Matt Ryan has very good weapons on the outside. He's got a running back he likes. Matt Ryan they let a very good tight end go. So safety to me is I'm not exactly sure how much it's worth. Peter Guber is one of the most impressive people in sports, an executive, an entrepreneur. He's a co-owner and co-chair of the Golden State Warriors, co-owner of the Dodgers, co-owner, executive chairman of the LA Football Club. I'm a season ticket holder there. Chairman, CEO, Mandalay Entertainment, one of the companies behind Last Dance. Former chairman, CEO of Sony Pictures. A remarkably impressive guy. I've had the good pleasure to interview him and meet him a couple of times. He sits right behind me at the soccer games. His seat's better than mine, it should be noted. Peter's kind enough to join us here on a Friday. Peter, first of all, how are things for you?
It's a kind of living in a mess. You're trying to figure out, what the right rules of the road are. You're trying to find the road. And this is a black swan event that happened. And so the result of that is that there's a great deal of uncertainty. And so my rule is, with uncertainty, there comes opportunity. And so you have to really look at that. Otherwise, you get stuck with the problem and not the opportunity.
You have been in so many different things. You've been in the movie business. You've been in the sports business. And I'm trying to think of the other business. You've been in the music business. Yeah. What are the similarities? Let's take sports. Is sports, you're building a team. Movies, when you're the CEO, you're building a team. Are there similarities, sports, to music and movies, or is sports its own animal entirely?
Well, there's a distinction. That's a good question because there's a distinction. They're all audience businesses. We render experiences to an audience. That's our job. Whether it's music, movies, television, documentaries, we're rendering an experience. Now, the distinction between films and television is it's generally a captured experience. It's a curated experience. In sports, it's a live experience. In the movie business or the television business, if you make a film or a story, with Rocky, for example, the same person wins in Rocky. If you see it on television, on the airplane, a year later, you see it in a postage stamp, you see it in a movie theater, the same person wins. So the audience has a different kind of experience. In sports, in live sports, the audience is actually a participant, not a passenger in the process. So you have to deal with those audiences very differently. You have to make a promise that is delivered on as an experience, especially live sports. And that's my center post today. Live sports is what we need in the country and what we need back. And that is why it's so successful, because that audience feels they do make a difference. They are really involved in the outcome. And so what you really need, that live sport thing, separates it from other mediated sports.
When you have to help make decisions on who to pay and who not to pay, it's like the movie business. There are a handful of stars that can clearly, Tom Hanks can drive audience. Nobody would dispute that, right? In sports, there are tough decisions where you have to tell great athletes, we're going to let you go and you may go to our rival. Are those painful situations for you? How difficult is it to lose a great talent because of a salary cap?
Well, first of all, you have to have a certain rule around the whole thing. If you get really so familiar and so close with your athletes and your team players, it makes it hard to have a clear and focused judgment of what you need to do for the team. In other words, you really have to keep some kind of a distance. You have to recognize they have a job, you have a job, they have a career, you have a career, you have a business, they have a business, and sometimes they don't mesh perfectly. So it's hard if you get emotionally connected to a athlete on a team over the years, and you travel and you're around them, and you know their family. And so it's really hard to say goodbye to them or make a move. in the movie business, it's 8 months in a trailer, or 8 months, 8 weeks in a trailer, and you promise faith and good hope, and let's get together, and you have a big hit, you never see them again.
Yeah.
So it's a very different kind of enterprise in terms of the relationship capital between you and the talent.
When you tried to recruit, I believe you tried to recruit Kevin Durant, and he was very successful, and he was winning a bunch of games, and he was going to come to a team, your Warriors, that had stars. What was the recruiting process? How did you touch him, Peter? How did you emotionally land with him, knowing he may have to sacrifice, Peter, shots and points and stats?
I think the process with Kevin was done with Bob Myers and the players. The players really worked on the relationship capital that was necessary to make him feel secure. Certainly wasn't me. It certainly was an attitude that was expressed through Bob Myers, the GM, through the other owners, and most especially through the players who went to see him. As you know, they went to the Hamptons and flew out there and expressed how they related to one another. Anecdotally, hearing it afterwards, not while I was there, it was a situation where they were really sharing with him. And I use this expression because I've got it secondhand. They used the expression to him, "You're going to make the difference." In other words, you will make the difference. And I think he did make the difference. And I think that what compelled him to come was actually the Warriors not winning against Cleveland that year. Because I think if the Warriors won with Cleveland, I don't think he would have come. I remember at the finals that year, Bob Myers came in at the halftime to the owner's suite and said, and we were ahead by 6 or 7 points. It looks good. It looks great. It looks good. And I smiled at him. I said, we win. We don't get them. That was just my belief. Now, that came from decades of dealing with talent, not just sports, but all kinds of talent, music, film, television. This was a person, when he came in and we lost the game, I remember saying to Bob, "You're going to get him now." Because now you really have a narrative, a story, an offering, a promise to the premise to him as an athlete that he can make the difference, that the purpose of them being here is winning. And I think that while we might have won alone without him, that was the narrative that I think helped seal the deal that they did, the players and the general manager.
I would think with your acumen and experience, you would be able to predict certain things. So you go to the Warriors in 2010. The year earlier, they had drafted Steph Curry. We just saw him as a skinny kid from Davidson. We had no idea he would fundamentally change sports. You also produced Rain Man, which is one of my 10 favorite movies of all time. So I want to connect these two. Did you know with Rain Man, as you were making it, we have a massive transformative hit? Did you know with Curry early? Nobody watched them in college. We have a transcendent. Can you see stuff before it happens with a Curry or a Rain Man?
I wished I could. I wished I could. It's a little bit of blind man's bluff. You try to get the alchemy of success in films, television, sports, and movies is elusive. What gave you success one year or one time doesn't give you the other. You use good judgment. You use your information, your data, which is really important, but data doesn't make the decision. It informs the decision maker. And so you have to make that leap of faith that it'll work. And I think there's some instinct to it. I can honestly tell you, Rain Man started out as a television movie. And then somebody read the script and gave it to Dustin Hoffman to read as a writing sample for another project. And Dustin said, "I want to do the picture." And then Tom Cruise said, "I want to do the picture." Serendipity happens. If you're in the middle of it, good things can happen. But if you're not swinging the bat, you can't hit a home run.
Oh, I love that. So when you go to you're at the Warriors, you're at the Dodgers, and then you become part of the LAFC group. And, you're a successful guy. Is there a message when you're part of an ownership group? Is there a message that it transcends the sport? It doesn't matter what sport it is. A certain message always works in professional sports.
I have to. One of my closest friends is Pat Riley. He's an advisor, a coach, a mentor to me and everything. And several times when I got lost in my sports business, he said, "Remember this, know what the main thing is and always keep the main thing the main thing. If you don't know what the main thing is, you're going to have trouble staying on even your course." And so the idea of the main thing is to remember, if you're making a movie, it's in the script. It's in the director. You give them the tools and the resources, the blessing, and the financial capital to be successful. And the same with the team. You put it together, and alchemy has to happen. Magic has to happen, generated by them, and then they have to get a little lucky. There's always a little bit of luck in this. There's always a little bit of luck, maybe a lot of luck. But the idea is you have to be in the way of luck. You have to get yourself in position to be lucky. And that's hard work, tenacity, information, data, relationship capital, a lot of tools that are necessary to succeed.
Co-chairman of the Warriors, co-owner of the Dodgers, executive chairman, LA Football Club, CEO, Mandalay Entertainment, one of the companies behind The Last Dance, Peter Guber. So I want to talk about Last Dance. Michael was concerned that, he'd look mean. I thought he looked of a willful and relentless, all the things I love from my pro athletes. It wasn't always pretty. I thought his relationship with his parents was formidable and amazing. So I loved how Michael came off. He was initially, Peter, a little concerned about his tenacity, the word you used. Are you surprised how much people watched it, fell in love with it, and actually he's now more popular this morning than he was, 10 episodes ago?
Yeah, the magic, you do the work, and the magic happens. You get a little lucky. There were 3 pieces of luck. We had good fortune, I should say. We got the rights. That's the first thing. You can't tell the story unless you get the rights. Unless you convince the powers that be. That would be Michael Jordan and his group of people, his partners, all the people in his group, Curtis and Esty and the group there. You have to convince the NBA, Adam Silver. I mean, he worked in the entertainment part of the NBA for 20 years and saw a lot of this film stock and materials coalesce. You had to convince the companies that financed it that this would be successul. Now, the fact that you have a great track record, have really had a great track record in sports media, sports films, and the fact that he was a superstar were in our favor. That had the wind at our back. But you still got to get a little lucky. He had to sit down and be open. He had to be self-revelatory. He had to reveal of himself something of his inside. And then you have to get lucky with the other people that are involved. And then you have to get really talented filmmakers like Jason and Michael and everybody who can craft the material so that the narrative makes sense. Remember, this is 10 episodes over 5 weeks. That's a lot of heavy lifting. Then you got to really get lucky, in this case, lucky, that there was no live sports on television. We were the only game in town. Now, I don't think if you did the Peter Guber, Colin Cowherd story in those 10 weeks, we would be successful. But maybe it'd be watched because there was nothing really else on during that time. So this was a confluence of great timing, fortune, and great talented people, and a great subject. I mean, he's a incredibly interesting character. He's an incredibly compelling individual, and I thought he spoke his truth.
Yeah, Peter Guber joining us. I could sit and talk for Peter for hours. The athletes and actors, they're at some level. Michael, he still will argue. I mean, he still loves winning. Just talking, he loves winning, and
right.
I don't know what creates that. Is it insecurity, vulnerability? I have no idea. Are actors and athletes driven by the same stuff to you, being part of a good team and winning? I mean, or are they really different personality types?
They're absolutely the same in terms of the curation of desire. They have a emotional component inside them of excellence. They want to be the very, very best. They want to put out their very best. And they want the very best talent to help curate it and create it and form it and collect it and make it work. And I think that's their similarity. They're different things. If you have, if you have a great performer like Michael Jordan or Steve Kerr or Steph Curry or a newscaster, a media caster like yourself, or a star like the great baseball stars of our eras, they all are about excellence. How do I make my craft excellent? Now, some of them get a little crazy, and some of them go off the rails in other parts of their life. Makes it interesting. The story is they're not all vanilla, and that's why we both have jobs. I got to manage some of them, and you got to report on some of them.
That's funny. You have had more than 50 Academy Award nominations. So you wake up in the morning. What would make you happier? knowing that you're in the NBA Finals or the World Series, or your movie got an Academy nomination for Best Film? What gives you the bigger high?
No, something other than that would give me the bigger high today. You know what that is? Butts in seats, fans in stands. That would give me that would be high octane result for me. And I think that's really the most important thing. We have to relieve the pain and give the joy and create the environment to get that back to where it was very quickly.
Yeah. You know, you do some movie business. I saw a study the other day that most people would rather not go to a movie theater. They want to watch stuff at home, and you guys will figure out a way to make money in the music business. Life is crazy. It's amazing to me. I grew up in theaters. I love the movie business. I watch every documentary that comes down the pike. The sports business is changing, and people like watching stuff at home, not just games. Are you ever shocked by how fluid society is? Tech, the changes. If you'd have told me 10 years ago I was going to get into a car with strangers and they take me to a restaurant, it's called Uber, I would have said you're out of your mind. You've been a developer, you have been a investor in many of these companies. Is there a rule? I mean, are you shocked by how much change your life has seen in the last 10 years?
It is shocking, but what you really have to remember, I'm in the experience business. I'm in the audience experience business. I have to render an experienced audience to capture their attention. I have to aim at their heart, then their mind, then their wallet. So I literally have to figure out a way to engage them. The engagement of the audience is the success in our businesses. And sports is a tremendous engagement element. You have to engage them in many different ways. The music, you have to engage them with the food. You have to engage them with the seating. You have to have an experience that gets them to decide 2.3 days before, drive 10.5 miles, wait 10.6 minutes to get in the seat and watch a game and participate in the game. And they don't leave in 1 minute or 1 second or 1 day, or if they get behind 3 runs or 4 runs or 10 baskets, they don't leave. In the television or media business, you are 1/4 of an inch away from being disassociated from your product by that thumb on their finger in an instant. If they have a burp or they have to go to the bathroom or they get a telephone call, you're out of business. So you have a much higher challenge. But the reality is both of those systems live close together. There's nothing like the tribal necessity in our society of that social cohesion of all the fans cheering and screaming and believing they make a difference in a football game, baseball game, basketball game. That is totally compelling. That's 50,000 years of training. So we're not giving it up because some mother has decided that we're going to have to quarantine everybody forever because of a virus.
Yeah. Peter Guber, absolute pleasure talking to you. One of these days, I'm at LAFC and turn around and see you often. I'm happy for your success, and thank you so much for taking time for our show.
Thank you. Always listen to you. Love you. Good luck, and stay healthy.
All right, Peter Guber. Isn't that fascinating? Just an interesting guy, how he sees sports and movies, and I love Rain Man. Oh, Rain Man's top 10 for me. All-time Rain Man.
I don't think I knew that.
Oh, I love Rain Man. You know, the thing with movie is the best 5 movies you've seen in the last year, that you always say those are your favorites. I have done this more than one time in my life. I have no idea why I do this. Has anybody ever else sat down just randomly and said, I'm going to write down my 20 favorite movies?
20?
Oh, no, I do it all the time.
20.
No, I have them. I mean, I'm not joking. Little Miss Sunshine is 16.
Little Miss Sunshine is 16. That's a great movie.
Silence of the Lamb is 1 for me. Shawshank Redemption's 2.
Okay.
Porky's is 3. Mrs. Doubtfire is 20. I like it way more than everybody else. I think Little Miss Sunshine is a top 10 underrated movie. I think
a great movie.
Greg Kinnear, everything he's in is good.
Braveheart is my favorite movie. Pulp Fiction is second.
Pulp's way up there. Pulp Fiction's up there. It's in my top 20.
After that, it
Platoon.
starts to rotate on, depending on mood.
Platoon, I think Platoon's my number 4. Goodfellas is 3.
So you've really sat and gone.
Oh, I've done it 100 times. I love ranking stuff.
That's true. You do love lists.
Listen, we got no sports. You rank movies. That's what you do. Sorry if I offend you. All right, I got to take a break. I'm late. Live in LA, it's The Herd.
Be sure to catch live editions of The Herd weekdays at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific on Fox Sports Radio, FS1, and the iHeartRadio app.
Sunday on Fox, the NASCAR season continues with the Coca-Cola 600 live from Charlotte Motor Speedway. Catch all the action beginning at 6 Eastern on Fox and the Fox Sports app.
Whether you're working from home or on your fitness, you want to hear your music, not your roommate's music. Raycon's wireless earbuds, way to go. 15% off Raycon orders at buyraycon.com/herd. Buyraycon.com/herd. Getting back. People are moving. The SEC just announced June 8th. Practice starts. Let's go. Let's move. Come on. Let's get going. No more heat-seeking media panic missiles. Come on. CDC, go look at their latest information. We can be okay here. We can socially distance, get some sun. We're going to be good. Here's Joy with the news.
No.
Turn on the news.
This is the Herd Line News, sponsored by Liberty Mutual Insurance. Only pay for what you need.
So a big rule change could be coming to the NFL this season if the league's owners vote to make it happen. Instead of going for an onside kick, teams would have the option of attempting to convert on 4th and 15 from their own 25-yard line. Yeah. If they get a first down, they keep possession.
Yep.
If they don't, the other team would take over from wherever the play ended.
And the percentage is greater than I thought. Onside kicks about 10 to 12%. 4th and 15. This is all quarterbacks, not Patrick Mahomes. 4th and 15 is close to 25, 30%.
It's funny you said Patrick
First thing
Mahomes,
I thought.
In my mind, I'm like, okay, quarterbacks, like, I feel good about Patrick Mahomes doing that with a statistic for everyone else. Well, for the rule to pass, 24 of the NFL's 32 owners will have to vote on it at their next meeting, which will be held virtually on May 28th, so in just a few days.
So the owners vote on that?
Yes.
Come on, owners. Let's get it. Let's go. By the way, it's another play. I get a quarterback on the field or a kicker and a hands team.
For me, I just feel like the onside kick has become so impossible to convert.
That's right.
That it's like when they line up for it, it's like, whatever. All right. Like, we're going to watch because obviously there's a chance and that, like, if they do convert it, it's incredible. But for the most part, it's just going to bounce and go.
It's like trying to make your wife happy. It's impossible. Just live your life. Pow!
I think it's pretty simple. Just do what we say. That's it. Proposed rules.
Exactly.
I mean, that's not hard.
Exactly.
We tell you what to do.
Yeah.
Just do what we tell you to do.
Yeah. It's just so simple. Just do what they say to do all the time.
It is. It's like when you cook. Like you have the recipe right there, but then you're like, you know what? I like this recipe, but instead I'm going to use all different ingredients with all different measurements, and then when it comes out wrong, you're like, what did happen?
That's the most accurate thing you've ever said, and that's not a shot at your sports takes. You can make us happy. Just do what we say to do.
It's so simple.
You're Ann.
We have the same birthday.
Which is so odd to me.
We're all Capricorns, you know. So the proposed rule doesn't specify that a team has to be trailing to attempt it, and there's a limit of 2 tries per game. So there are some stipulations there with it, but overall, I think it's great, and they should definitely do it. So NFL rookies will have an even bigger challenge transitioning to the league this year without the traditional offseason, and Mike Tomlin says he has a lot of concerns about whether rookies will be ready to go when the season starts.
All right.
I'll be honest with you, man. I got big-time concerns about their development and readiness. Their ability to contribute, their ability to gain significant roles and to maintain those significant roles are going to be challenging in these circumstances, more challenging than normal. And I think throughout the course of this journey, we're all going to realize how significant or maybe insignificant that is. Man, I'm working my tail off with the Pittsburgh Steelers rookies to make it as insignificant as possible.
Well, this is why you and I both like all the veteran teams to win this year. Is I do think rookies are, like Joe Burrow. Start game 1, NFL, tough division, worst roster. It's not fair to Joe Burrow.
No, they're up against it. I mean, the New York Giants, any team that has a significant change, such as a new coach or new quarterback or a rookie at the quarterback position, it's going to be tough for them, and that's just the reality of it. Now, I think what he is referring to mostly is, there's a step up in speed, a significant step up in speed. I mean, we were talking about Gardner Minshew earlier, and guys in bars thinking that they can play NFL quarterback if their high school coach didn't give them the opportunity to get out there. there's a significant change, and there's only so much you can learn in the classroom. I mean, you figure the draft was 4 weeks ago, so generally these guys would have been on a plane heading wherever it is that their new team is, and getting on the field, and not with everybody, obviously, not with all their vets and stuff because it's still off season, but they're going to be a little bit behind. It's going to be on the coaches and situations like Mike Tomlin, the Steelers, a good, strong organization and culture to step it up once they get there. And I think for the most part, you would hope for the most part, everyone's aware of the situation. We're all living in it, that you're going to take extra steps to try and, mitigate that as much as possible. So the Bucs offense isn't the only thing that will improve with the addition of Tom Brady. Linebacker Devin White says he's also excited to see how Brady can elevate the team's defense next season.
We're not going to want him to pick us apart every day in training camp, so we're going to get better with our disguises. We're going to try to confuse him a little. So I think having him in practice going against him make us really bring our game out to a new level.
He's right.
He actually is. It should. And also, if, Jameis, talented but threw a lot of picks, Jameis put the defense in bad field position a lot. If a quarterback can extend drives.
Right. It gives your defense more time on the sideline, more time to rest and recover.
In Tampa, it's so, a good quarterback, no question, especially a chain mover, can keep defenses off the field.
But also to what he's referring to in training camp and practice, when you're going up against the greatest to ever do it and someone who is extremely accurate and doesn't make mistakes like that, it's going to elevate you in practice as well as a defense. Like, you're not going to be able to make those plays in practice. You're going to have to work harder. And, obviously Jameis, but they're going up against their backups was Blaine Gabbert and Ryan Griffin last year. So this is a step up in not just, performance, but also intelligence, this football intelligence that Tom Brady has. So I'm really excited to see what happens with the Bucs.
So am I. Best watch in the league this year.
It's gonna be awesome.
It's gonna be great. Guys, women are easy to get along with.
So simple. Just always do what we say. Just do what we say.
All right. I'm going to consider that. Ann's not back till Sunday. I have a couple of days to sleep on
that. To do what you want.
That's right. To do what I want. Joy with the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herd Lie News.
Coming up next, my former employer did a list yesterday. It took every NBA franchise and gave their all-time starting five. And two things the media does that wear me out. No context historically and no guts to make a tough call. I'll address both coming up.
Be sure to catch live editions of The Herd weekdays at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific.
Get your free credit scorecard even if you're not a Discover customer. Include your FICA credit score and check your scorecard. Won't hurt your credit. Learn more at discover.com/credit scorecard. Limitations apply. Big media companies, like the ones I've worked for, like to hire young people. Young people can be have a lot of energy and sometimes be a little more affordable. When you get to be like me, where you're older and a more, lucrative contract, companies are just hoping I walk outside and get run over by a bread truck and never have to pay me again. But as it is, Goulet, I, Joy, put a show together, people like it, blah, blah, blah. The knock I have on the American media is with all these corporations trying to get younger and cheaper, a lot of the people are hardworking but have no historical context at all. ESPN... and I'm not going to mention names, but they had the beat writer for all the NBA teams give an all-time starting five. Yes, we're that low on content for NBA teams. Your all-time starting five. The Warriors. Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant, Draymond Green, and Wilt Chamberlain. The hell? Rick Barry averaged 26 a game at forward. He was pre-Larry Bird. He was the best passing big. He was pre-Larry Bird. He was ornery. He was feisty. He played defense. He was a leader. He averaged 26 a game. He was the best free throw shooter in the game. This guy once hit 8 3-pointers in a game when nobody shot 3-pointers. Now, he was a Houston Rocket while he did it. Forget Chris Mullin, who's better than Draymond Green. Draymond Green, in the half-court set, people will leave him open. They'll just leave him open. And I like Draymond Green. He averages 7 a game. He works for the Warriors, but I'm not picking on the writer. Did you watch Rick Barry play? I watched the NBA in the 70s. Rick Barry was Larry Bird before Larry Bird. He's not as good as Larry Bird, but it's not that far behind. Feisty as hell, shooter, free throw, passer, great player. The second thing that drives me crazy with the media is they don't like hate mail. Ooh, I just want to say stuff on the internet that'll make me popular. Make a call. Pick a lane. Have an opinion. We're in the opinion business. So they put the Lakers team out. I'm not picking on the writers. I don't know who they are. I don't want to know. But the Lakers' all-time team is Magic at guard, Jerry West at guard, Kobe at guard, Kareem at forward, and Shaq at center. 3 guards, 2 centers, no forwards. That's not a basketball team. Pick a roster. Who's a forward? Who can guard a forward? 3 guards? Jerry and Kobe on the floor? And 2 centers. No, the Lakers' all-time team is Magic at point, Kobe at shooting guard, LeBron. Don't tell me LeBron hasn't played enough. Kawhi made the Clippers team. He's played 9 games. LeBron, small forward, Worthy, big forward, and Kareem, the center. I don't care if I offended you. That's the best Laker team of all time. Second team, Gail Goodrich at guard, Jerry West at guard, Elgin Baylor, Pau Gasol, a forward. And if I was one of these media people, ooh, Wilt or Shaq, I don't know which one to pick. I do, Shaq. Now, both had a lot of success off the court differently. I'm taking Shaq. Because I think Wilt was a total flake and underachieved, even though he scored 100 points a few times, you know. So, you know, add some context. Draymond Green over Rick Barry. I mean, come on. Come on. And you got your all-time Laker team has 3 guards and 2 centers. Really, that's an interesting. Kareem and Shaq on the floor at the same time. You're playing other teams that have wing shooters. Who's going to guard them all? Who's going to handle the ball here? Come on, man. Make a call. You'll get hate mail. So what? Hate mail's fun. It's kind of fun to poke miserable people in the ribs. I got to be honest with you. The other, what else do I got here? I'm all worked up. I got really worked up on this morning. So the Saints' Cameron Jordan doesn't think LeBron could be an NFL tight end, nor do I, because I think, you know who thinks LeBron could be a great football player? It's a lot of basketball players. My friend Doug Gottlieb's like, oh, he'd be great. Doug Gottlieb never played football. He's a basketball guy. When you're a really good basketball player, you play AAU basketball, high school basketball, you never play football. You don't have time to turn out for football. If Doug Gottlieb got 1 carry as a running back, he'd like, I don't like that. I don't like being hit. What we forget about this, so Cameron Jordan went out and he talked about LeBron. And he's like, I mean, he doesn't buy into LeBron as an NFL receiver tight end.
Yeah, it's probably over for him. He as long as he spaces out and doesn't catch anything over the middle, maybe he just is a street guy. If you send him on goes, I think that would be your best bet. Make him a red zone tight end. Just stick him to the end zone so he doesn't catch anything over the middle, so he doesn't have a safety coming downhill. He could possibly have success there. If you say, hey, you got to go run these posts, you got to go run an in, I've got 4 guys that's going to take out your, the body that you care so much about.
The other thing is the best tight ends in the NFL get 7 targets a game and 5 catches. You got to block. 72 plays, 66, all you do is block. LeBron doesn't want that physicality. LeBron doesn't want to block. The idea that NBA guy talented play NFL, that's what basketball players think. Tony Gonzalez is a man's man and tough and blocked. George Kittle blocks. Gronk blocks. Aaron Hernandez blocks. You got block. But here's what's funny. We can debate that all day long. Here's what you can't debate. Michael Jordan's documentary, LeBron comes out the day it ends. Yeah, the Cowboys offered me a contract. In 2011, you had that story for 9 years, and you never dropped it. Why'd you drop it then? 9 years you had that story. You got a million TV shows you're on. Why'd you drop it? It shows LeBron, Isaiah Thomas, Scottie Pippen, Michael's in everybody's head. 20 years later, everybody's reacting to Michael Jordan. LeBron's reacting, getting news out there about his football, and Isaiah Thomas is reacting, and Scottie Pippen is furious, and the relatives of Jerry Krause. Michael Jordan is so powerful, he leaves a room for 20 years, and he's still in everybody's head. How in the world did that... It's not the story about LeBron. Why did it come out right after the documentary? It happened 9 years ago. It's just coming out. There hasn't been a moment we could have asked LeBron. He would have talked about it. It's funny, too. Tom Brady's the GOAT, but it doesn't bother other football players that he's the GOAT. Joe Montana was like, Joe Montana was asked right after Brady won his 5th Super Bowl. Right after. And Joe Montana's like, yeah, I'd say Tom's the GOAT. Peyton Manning was his rival. Some think he's the GOAT. Peyton Manning and Tom Brady are friends. Football players have no problem acknowledging, yeah, Tom's the GOAT. Montana did it an hour after he won the Super Bowl. Peyton Manning and Brady are buddies. But basketball is star-driven. And when you have to acknowledge there's one guy better than all of you ever, it gets in their head. It drives Isaiah crazy, Pippen crazy. It drives LeBron. They're all chasing him still. Because basketball is more about the star. And the star is given swag early and attention. And he's the man. And basketball culture is find him and pay him and elevate him. And I got nothing. I mean, that's the culture of it. But it is remarkable how many people are bothered by this Jordan doc. Or at least, if not bothered, influenced by it. Oh, I'm going to release this. I'm going to release that. I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to tell you that. It's the power of MJ. With everything going on, you're probably worrying more than ever. Check out M Drive Relax. The fellas there know people are anxious. It's understandable. So they're going to give you 50% off for a very limited time. Check it out. mdriverelax.com. mdriverelax.com, 50% off. Tom Izzo, Jason McIntyre. We're moving into a third hour on a Friday. Can't wait. Show is rolling. And remember, just listen to her. Do whatever she says, and you'll get along. The Herd.
Want more Herd? The Herd streams 24 hours a day, 7 days a week within the iHeartRadio app. Search Herd to listen live or on demand whenever you like.
Good to have you in. Tom Izzo has been coaching 25 years at Michigan State, never had a losing season, won the thing 20 years ago, most Final Four appearances, 8 since his first year there in the mid-90s. He's had 20 players selected in the NBA draft, 11 in the first round. And I will say, as he joins us via the Coward Global Satellite Network, he looks fantastic. And he joked to me during the break. He goes, this is what happened when you get 2 months off. So what are you doing?
God, a lot, Colin. I get to work out a little bit, get to do the honey-do things that all husbands get to do that work a lot of hours and call and Zoom recruits and get a chance to be on your show. So it's been a good 2 months, even though it's been chaotic.
So the Jordan documentary captivated all of us. It was fun. It was history. And I can't say I learned a ton because I covered some of it, but it took me down memory lane and I loved it. As a basketball coaching legend, a Hall of Famer, when you watched it, what did you make of the job Phil Jackson did balancing all the egos and plates?
Well, he did a hell of a lot better job than I could have done dealing with Dennis. I know that. That was an incredible, scene there with some of the things that happened. But there's a reason Phil Jackson is one of the best. I had a chance to work Michael's fantasy camps a few years in Vegas. And, I was intrigued by everything, too. I thought it was great for TV.
In terms of Michael, you've obviously recruited NBA players. Let's go back, because you were a young coach. You were an assistant before a head coach. Do you remember Michael even being recruited?
I came here in 83, 84 as a GA, graduate assistant, and that was, the year, I think it was 83 when Michael hit the shot. So I wasn't really part of his recruitment, meaning I wasn't at this level at the time. I was kind of a Division II guy then, but I would say that, I heard of Michael Jordan, but not to the extent that how he turned out.
It is, in terms of pure talent, what's interesting, Tom, about recruiting is that some of it is just your experience. Draymond Green. So he gets drafted in the second, gets into the right coach, and develops into a nice player. Go back to the first time you spotted Draymond Green. Would you have ever guessed he would become a vital part of the greatest basketball dynasty since Jordan?
Boy, would I like to say yes, because then I'd be a genius. But the answer is no. And I think Draymond deserves a lot of credit for that. When we got Draymond, he was a little bit chunkier. He was a little heavier. He lost a lot of weight. But He had a tremendous basketball IQ back then. He had toughness that you see every day. And those two things, I think, basketball IQ and toughness, has really helped him develop into a unique player, one of the more unique players in the league.
You have always liked size. When I think of Michigan State, I think of defense. You guys have guys that can bang around. You're physical. The game is changing. It's becoming guard, wing, shoot threes. Do you like it? Has it been a challenge for you that it's now such a shooter sport?
You know, it's been challenging, Colin, but it's not anything that I don't think we can handle. You know, it's the fact is now you still need a center in there, but usually your four men are more shooters now, and that's just the way the game is. But as I say in basketball, every center thinks he's a four-man, the four thinks he's a three, the three thinks he's a two thinks he's a one, and the one thinks he's a coach. So everybody's kind of moved up a level.
That is funny. So who has been, you know, they're all different. If you ever coached a player at Michigan State or beyond that you knew could be a coach, like a player that's IQ was crazy, like you know, Magic Johnson, the first time I watched him in college under Judd Heathcote, and then in the NBA, I'm like, he literally walked into the NBA and said, Kareem, I'll run the team. That's very unique maturity. How many players can you find that have that maturity that early?
God, not many. That's a great question. I think that's what we're all looking for, especially this day and age. You know, leaders are getting harder to find. Everybody's, you know, staying in their own lane kind of with the texting and tweeting. And, you know, it seems like it's all about me instead of about we. And Magic was a guy that was all about we. Now, I've had a couple. Mateen Cleaves won a championship with him. Kid named Denzel Valentine, of course, Draymond Green, you know. And I've had a good one last year, a kid named Cassius Winston. And all four of them having tremendously high basketball IQs, which I think you need to be a coach, although some people would argue whether mine's that or not.
You know, when I watched the Jordan documentary, I was struck by his parents, and he had these incredibly formidable relationships. His mom was incredible. And do you think that's valuable in the recruiting process? Do you look at, you know what, good role models? Does that stuff matter to you in recruiting?
It does matter to you. And, you know, you as a coach, you always feel like you can change anybody. But, boy, those first 18 years, somebody was brought up one way, you know, then you get them for 1, 2, 3, or maybe 4 years at most. And you're not going to necessarily change a lot of people. You know, when I look at Draymond, when I look at Mateen Cleaves, when I look at Denzel Valentine, his dad was a coach. And now Cassius Winston, his dad was a coach. So I look at those guys as being elite leaders. And maybe role models and captains of our team, they all had great families that helped them. Now, that's not always the case, but I think you need somebody in your life that helps keep you on the straight and narrow early so that can continue as we go on.
I think college basketball has huge value. I only know who Zion is because of Duke. Otherwise, I don't fish around the internet all day. I am worried, although I'm happy for players to make money in the G League, I'm concerned that the NBA doesn't get the value of college basketball as a marketing platform. And I also think college basketball coaches at the top are probably better than a young G League coach. Is it frustrating for you that it now feels at times like a bidding war, that what you offer doesn't stack up to pure cash at the G League?
Well, a couple things frustrate me a little bit, you know, and we're in the middle of it now. I mean, look what's going on right now. You know, we got the transfer rule out there. We've got the G League. We've got people talking about kids coming right out of high school. There's a lot of moving parts right now in the basketball game in general. I worry that we devalued education a little bit. I don't think we appreciate maybe not only the academic education, but the social education of college. You know, I think it's very important when a kid comes, if it's 1 or 2 years, but when he's there, he's growing as a person, not just intellectually, but I think socially. I think that's important when there's not a lot of pressure on you. So, you know, who knows where it's all going right now. But me personally, I've seen a lot of great kids, you know, whether they're here 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, or 4, I think it's an advantage for them. And sooner or later, they're going to get to that G League or the NBA. And if they do, it becomes a real business and a real job. And they'll miss college a little bit.
You know, Judd Heathcote had Magic, and he didn't stay in college too long, couple of years. I know you have a relationship with Magic Johnson. What separates Magic? I mean, he in Los Angeles, he's one of the top business people. It's I don't know where it comes from. He gets upset if you don't ask his advice. He is a helper. He is a giver. Have you ever met anybody quite like him?
You know, I met Magic the first week I was on campus as a GA. My job, we were in the old field house, and we used to put rims on top of the rims so that people couldn't get in there. You had to unlock them, and that was my job, to unlock them for Irvin to come in. You know, once he played in the finals, he'd take a couple of weeks off. He was still living in East Lansing, and he'd come back, and his workout schedule in August was unbelievable, the things he did. It's no surprise to me that he's the business guy that he is. In fact, I listen to him all the time, too. You know, last year when we played Duke in the Elite Eight to get to the Final Four, Magic came into the pregame mail. He gave the pregame talk. You know, I have no problem admitting that. I didn't even have to pay him for it. It was awesome. And, you know, he's just one of those guys. He's got an effervescent personality. He loves to reach out. He loves to help people. You know, I'm prejudiced because he's our guy, but I'm not sure there's many like Earvin Magic Johnson.
Do you ever watch games on TV, NBA, college, and ever steal things from other coaches? Because Tony Bennett, the great singer, has a funny line. He says, steal from everybody, it's called research. If you steal from one guy, you're a thief. But steal from everybody. So do you look at coaching with a notepad, watch a game, and go, oh, I'm going to take that inbounds play?
All the time. I mean, especially in the NBA, because, you know, if you work a lot of hours, you get home at 9:30, 10:30 at night. You know, I usually turn on, try to catch Draymond or Gary Harris at Denver. Some of my guys are on the West Coast. And, you know, I think those NBA coaches, I mean, they're doing it 100 times a year. You know, sometimes they don't get credit because it's more of a players' league. But those guys are brilliant, and their brilliance I steal from all the time. I mean, I steal every play, every out-of-bounds play, but those sideline out-of-bounds plays they run in the league are really good.
By the way, I have not looked at the preseason. Aren't you a preseason number one?
That was last year we were preseason, or this past year. We were the second team, Colin. I always tell Coach Kell at Kentucky, we went from, you know, rated 1 to unrated. And then at the end of the year, I think we're ready to make a run. Now, next year, in some of the preseason polls, we're a top 10, 12 team. And I think, you know, we're looking at the same thing everybody else is looking at. Who will you have by the end of the summer, with the draft a little bit different and guys going out early and transfers? You know, I mean, right now, as I said, it's pretty moving part. You got to try to figure out where you're going to be in August, maybe not where you are today.
Good seeing you. You look fantastic. How is the weather? My wife's from Michigan, so it's we're getting close to June. Is it about 65 degrees there?
Hey, I came out and visited you last year in the summer. Remember when we met at the Fox? And, you know, I came to your area. I think it's time you come to our area up here and visit your wife's family, and I'll take you out to the lake, take you golfing. You might have to wear gloves, but other than that, it's a hell of a time.
Good seeing you, Tom. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks, Colin.
We were talking during the break. Lake Charlevoix. My wife keeps trying to talk me into going to Lake Charlevoix in Michigan.
Michigan's beautiful.
Oh, Michigan's beautiful. Well, Michigan's like Washington State where I grew up. The trees, you got water everywhere.
Spent a lot of time in Michigan growing up.
You did?
My grandparents lived in Detroit, so.
You had a lot of places.
I've had some I got some interesting stories.
Joy Taylor with the news.
No.
Turn on the news. This is the Herd Line News.
So there was a report out that the Cowboys offered Dak Prescott a 5-year, $175 million contract that Dak turned down, but the Cowboys are denying it. According to Ian Rappaport, both the team and Dak's agents say two sides have never discussed a scenario like this. The sticking point is still the length of the contract. Dak wants a shorter deal, and the Cowboys want a longer one.
You know, the Cowboys want Jamal Adams, but they can't get him unless Dak, you know, did the franchise.
Well, that's July 15th. That's the deadline for the contract negotiation that will never end. I don't know. I mean, where would this information come from if it's never been discussed?
Internet.
Oh, they just made it up?
Well, I just said the Jets said they don't want to trade him. But then it's funny how I know the Jets want a first and a third. So the internet's giving me 2 stories, which means if it's out on the internet what you will accept for a player, then you're willing to take a phone call.
Right.
Right. So
I mean, it doesn't mean that it's happening or that they maybe they took the phone call and then they were like, yeah, that's not going to work.
But if a team lets it out, we'll take a first and a third, they'll take the phone call.
Yeah. Again, like I'm still on the side that Dak deserves to be paid, but I'm starting to reach this point where it's like, all right, maybe it's just exhaustion about talking about it.
I'm exhausted.
I know you're exhausted. I'm reaching exhaustion, but I just think that he should get it. Either way, I think he should take the deal. All right, so Scottie Pippen is reportedly beyond livid with Michael for the way he was portrayed in The Last Dance. He said he is said to be angry, that he was called selfish, and that many less than flattering stories about him were featured in the documentary. He's also furious that he agreed to participate in the doc because he didn't really know what he was getting himself into. Okay, first of all, I don't think Scottie looks bad at all.
No, I mean, I don't get it.
Him bailing and not wanting to go in because of the
It was
Kukoc
bad.
shot is bad. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah, I mean,
I think Rodman looked way worse.
If you have 6 rings, you can live with that.
I mean, what is the issue? Everyone on Earth agrees that Michael would not be as successful as he was without Scottie Pippen. Michael said it himself at the beginning of the documentary. He spoke glowingly of Scottie Pippen. I don't feel any different about Scottie Pippen than I did before this documentary. Does anyone?
I think Rodman.
Who is out there that's saying these things? This is what I wonder. Like when this comes up, like who's mad at Scottie Pippen? A couple people on Twitter. Who is mad? I don't feel any differently about Scottie Pippen. I mean, I don't love that he bailed on his teammates, but okay, like so that happens. It's not like I'm like, oh, Scottie Pippen, like he's so selfish. We're a selfish player. No, not at all. I don't think anyone that played alongside Michael Jordan was selfish for that matter.
I mean, anybody that plays defense like Scottie is not selfish. Selfish guys don't play on the defensive end. Scottie gave you 25 points on the offensive end a lot of nights, and he played real defense. So he was selfless physically. He would give you everything he had both ends.
Where is this coming from? Like, who are these people that have flipped on Scottie Pippen? I don't think it looked bad. The only person I think it looked bad on was Jerry Krause, and I don't think Jerry Krause did himself any favors. And I think for the most part, it looked so bad on Jerry Krause that most people are kind of trying to tone it down. Like, okay, but he also did put together a team that won 6 championships. I don't think anyone got demolished in this. My policy is if I know someone, like I truly know someone, I do not get angry at them for doing what I know that they habitually do, right? We know Michael is a grudge holder. We know he has a chip on his shoulder still to this day, and he is extremely competitive, and we knew this was going to be about Michael Jordan. Did anyone have any confusion at all about what this was really going to be about? What do you mean you didn't know what you were getting yourself into? It's your story.
Right.
You know what your story is.
Yeah.
If you decided to do a documentary, an open documentary about your life, Colin, and a story came out that in the documentary that was slightly less than flattering about you, would you be surprised?
Yeah. I think Scottie's playing the victim here a little bit.
You lived it. You did it.
Yeah.
It wasn't a misrepresentation. Finally, the Wizards may not have plans to trade Bradley Beal, but that isn't stopping another team from trying to go after him. The Nets are in the market for a third star to join Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant.
I love Bradley Beal.
I do too.
I have for years. Bradley Beal.
Well, they've reportedly had internal discussions about ways that they could trade for Bradley Beal. They have to match salaries for any trade, with Beal earning roughly $29 million next season. So they have Spencer Dinwiddie.
Bradley Beal needs to be on a team. John Wall doesn't help him, and that's a dead franchise. Like, give Bradley Beal a career, because Bradley Beal should be a really nice number 2 or a great 3 on a championship level team. His career now is points and nothing else, and I just think he's wasting his career there. Like, untie yourself from the Wizards and go play with a winner.
He's kind of an old school guy, though. He wants to spend his career there. I agree with you. I'd love to see him in a better situation than the Wizards. The Nets, it would be fun to watch, but I think he kind of also might be diminished there because you have Kyrie and KD. Like that's a championship level team there, obviously, the 3 of them together, but the NBA sort of moved away from that now. It's
Bradley Beal's one of those players that's a lot better than people think because they don't watch his games. If you put him on a team like, I'm throwing a team out, Denver with Jokic, Jamal Murray, and Bradley Beal, then that team's playing in the Western Conference Finals.
absolutely.
And you'd see him playing in May and June, and you'd be like, oh my God, Bradley Beal. He's never on TV. You never see him play because the Wizards
He doesn't
stink.
get mentioned with
By the way,
the top stars in the league, but I think he does get a lot of respect.
Who
And
are-
I think a lot of players especially feel like he is a great player, and he's just in a situation where
who are the
he
best
can't-
two guards in the NBA? Klay Thompson, one. Now that Dwayne Wade's out, Bradley Beal, two.
Yeah.
I mean, could I make the argument he's the second best? Who else? Who else?
Are they talking to you in your ear? Because I can't hear it if they are.
Nah, I guess James Harden. James Harden, Klay.
Yeah, I mean, I think. James Harden. in that
Harden is what he is.
conversation.
So, yeah, I mean, what I would say, Klay is a classic two. Beal is a two. Harden, and that's how good he is.
I agree with you. I love Bradley Beal's game. I'd love to see him in a situation where he can thrive.
Smart,
I don't think
shoot,
the
runs
Wizards
the
are
floor.
it, but they're saying they're not gonna trade him. We'll see.
Joy with news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herd Lie News.
All right, Jason McIntyre. Tomorrow's headlines today. You know I love that. Coming up.
Be sure to catch live editions of The Herd weekdays at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific on Fox Sports Radio, FS1, and the iHeartRadio app.
Whether you're working from home, working on your fitness, want to hear your music, not your roommates, buy Raycon.com/herd, 15% off. Buy Raycon.com/herd. We do it on Fridays, every Friday at this time. Former newspaper guy creates the headlines before they happen, and he is shockingly accurate with his predictions. Via the Coward Global Satellite Network, we bring in Jason McIntyre. So, by the way, we live in the same community. The beaches are opening up. We can go out for walks now, J-Mac. Very nice.
Yeah, we got to play tennis. I need to beat you in tennis again. Maybe I'll get you on the basketball court. How about that?
Tennis is fine. Let's just stay with one sport. Okay, tomorrow's headlines today. What's the headline after the match this weekend? Tiger and Peyton versus Phil and Brady.
Yeah, I know you're going to fire on this. Definitely a gambling-worthy event. I believe after Sunday, the headline will be Brady gets his first win in Florida. Now, obviously, everybody's all excited. Tom Brady with the Buccaneers. Colin, the interesting thing is he's been on a football field. He's been working on his new team, new offense. Meanwhile, Peyton Manning, what's he doing the last 4 years? The guy must be playing a round of golf every week. But I still like the underdog here. Mickelson and Brady. I'm taking them over Peyton and Tiger Woods. It just feels like I'm going to go with the side that has a little bit more money coming in on them if you are looking to gamble on it.
All right, tomorrow's headlines today. What's the headline going to be for the Cowboys renegotiation or negotiation with Dak?
$45 million, Colin. Come on, that's comical. But I am enjoying the Dak Prescott situation. We called Andy Dalton, right? Let's see if we can go 2 for 2. The headline will be, hit the road, Dak, and don't come back no more, no. Listen, okay, Jerry Jones can draw a firm line in the sand. And Colin, I said this on social media, and people in Dallas got upset. But if Dak hits the market, you find the team willing to pay him 45, even 40, $35 million. It doesn't exist. Teams like the quarterback on the rookie deal, and you build around. You don't get the quarterback for $35 million and then say, oh, yeah, let's put the chess pieces around him. And I've looked at the numbers, Colin. Dak Prescott against good teams last year, like elite defenses, not very good. 2-5. 6 interceptions in 7 games. He feasted on the bottom dwellers, the Redskins and the Giants. 14 touchdown passes against those two teams last year. Like, he's good against the bad teams. I still need to see more from Dak. Good quarterback, but he's not top 10, and I'm not paying him $45 million.
All right. Jay Glazer broke a story this week. Taysom Hill is going to be the quarterback after Drew Brees leaves. So tomorrow's headlines today, what is the headline? Taysom Hill taking over for Drew Brees.
Glazer's my guy, very good, a longtime friend of mine. Taysom Hill, we'll see. The headline will be King of the Hill. Yes, Colin, I'm riding with the guy who's thrown a total of 15 passes. That's it in 3 years in the league. I do think it was a little disrespectful of Sean Payton to call him, that's our Lamar Jackson, when Taysom Hill has 15 career passes. Now, I did look this up. He was recruited as a high school kid by Jim Harbaugh. When Jim Harbaugh was at Stanford, Harbaugh saw the greatness in Hill. The problem is he gets to BYU after his Mormon mission, and he's a little older, but he got hurt every single year. Every season at BYU ended in injury. I have some reservations about him going forward as an NFL quarterback. But for the Saints, with that team, with that offense, I think he can get it done. He's their quarterback.
Good stuff, yeah. Tomorrow's headlines today. What will the headline be after the 9-part Tom Brady documentary airs? That was announced this week.
I mean, this is a little silly, Colin, okay? You know, we talked a lot about The Last Dance. Maybe I'll get early episodes of Brady and send them your way. But here's my headline for the Tom Brady documentary: The Lackluster Dance. I'm sorry, I'm just not as excited, okay, as the playoff The Last Dance, Colin. Ha, ha, ha. Very funny. Yeah. I don't see the nostalgia there for Brady the way we had it for Jordan. Remember, Jordan, largely pre-internet. Michael Jordan, definitely pre-social media. We've lived every step Tom Brady's taken over the last 2 decades. Are we going to get a lot of new stuff on him? Obviously, people will watch, but I think these athletes from the 80s and 90s would carry more cachet in the documentary realm simply because there wasn't as much information for the present day as there are in Tom Brady, LeBron, and current athletes.
Yeah, I said Mike Tyson's got the 4 for 4. He'd give you access, controversy, early greatness, and mystery. By the way, I want to touch on this because you cover the NFL. You love your Jets. The story is out. The Jets would take a 1st and 3rd for Jamal Adams. I love him as a player, but I think there are players based on position and money that I would move, and I think the Jets have 4 or 5 issues beyond safety, and I love Jamal and would like to see him go play for a winner. Do you think it happens? And as a Jets fan, would it bother you if they moved him?
It would not bother me if they moved him. I'm a fan of Jamal Adams. I follow him on Instagram. But the reality is, and we've talked about this, you can't build around a safety on your defense. And Jamal Adams wanting to break the bank doesn't make sense to me. Look what the Chiefs just did last year. They got Honey Badger off the scrap heap, and he was excellent for them. You don't need a superstar safety to have an elite defense. Their front 7 is pretty good. Jets were a top 5 defense last year, not because of Jamal Adams. I'm with you. I think you add a cornerback. We'll see how the offensive line holds up. Colin, just a word to the wise. The advanced metric folks like the New York Jets this year. They don't love the Patriots as much. They don't love the Bills. I don't want to get too excited. It's only May, but there is a chance the Jets could sneak up on some people, and the AFC East is there for the taking.
Oh, I get so excited. I'm so excited. How did I become a Jets fan? Oh, I forgot Sam Darnold.
Come on, man. I'm having an impact on you. Sammy Darnold. Yeah.
All right. Good seeing you, buddy.
All right, pal.
Imagine picking up your smartphone, opening an app, controlling your grill remotely from anywhere. Oh, you can. It's called the RecTech Grill. That's RecTech Grills, RecTec Grills with an S.com. They're amazing. You turn it on when you're driving home. You can see all the temperature on your meat. It's really amazing. Okay, in review for today's show, Joy, the message for today's show for all men is?
Just do what we say.
And the marriage will
happy
be happy.
Wife, happy life, right? I didn't come up with that.
When do we get what we want?
Don't you want us to be happy?
So even our number one want is just making sure you're happy.
Everything men do is for women. Why is it like a revelation when you get in a relationship that then everything you do is going to be for women?
What do you guys do for us occasionally?
Exist. You're welcome.
Oh, my Lord. This is the kind of stuff at home I deal with.
It's reality. It's literally like a single guys. Everything single guys do, right? I didn't come up with this. I'm quoting men, right? Everything you guys do is for women, right? Like you go to the gym because you want to look good for women. Right. Otherwise, you guys will just sit around all day and like play video games and pick lint out of your belly button.
A lot of guys do that, by the way.
Right. They don't get a lot of women. So everything you do is for women. And then when you get in a relationship, it just instead of becoming everything you do is for women, it becomes everything you do is for a woman. It's not rocket science.
Yeah, I know, but I wish it was more complicated. That seems like it's just...
We do a lot for you. We do a lot.
All right. Yeah, I guess. Yeah. I want to thank Spencer Dinwiddie. He was terrific, very mature. Peter Guber, Tom Izzo, and Jason McIntyre. This week with no sports was incredibly fun.
It was.
It's amazing. Like every day we came in here, we had like real guests and real topics. Yeah, to be honest with you, I don't even know if I need sports anymore. Who needs games?
We need them.
I was watching when Peter Guber was on. They were showing Dodger highlights, and I'm like, I would give up a year of my life to watch a Dodger game. Just give me some
one game.
Just give me competition.
No, we're ready.
Just Last Dance felt like competition, honestly. I was reliving all these great rivalries. Like, just give me a game or two. All right, nice job, everybody. Goulet, good job. We'll see you Monday. Be safe. In L.A., it's The Herd.
Here's Something Good is a new show from the Seneca Women Podcast Network and iHeartRadio. Each day, we aspire to bring you the good news, the silver lining, the glass half full, because there is good happening in the world, everywhere, every day. We just need to look for it and share it. Here's Something Good is a short daily show that offers positive stories, helpful suggestions, and shared experiences to inform and inspire you every day. Listen to Here's Something Good on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows. Subscribe now.